and welcome to another in the Ask the Data Governance Coach video series. And today's question is, what is the difference between a data governance policy and an operating model? Now, I've previously created videos and blogs and podcasts on what a data governance policy is, and we'll include the link to some of those in the description. But I've also created content that explains that you will also need an operating model. Now, somebody picked up on this and sent me a message and asked, why would that be if you've got everything in your policy? And I think the key thing is, if we put everything in our data governance policy, then it becomes too big. It becomes like a small book. So I have found through hard experience, if I'm really honest about it, that if I put absolutely everything that I want everybody to do when it comes to data governance in the data governance policy, that it's too much. Nobody goes and reads all of it. But also, I've also found that I can't even get it approved because there is so much detail on there. I have to go through so many hoops to get so many different people to review it and approve it that it just doesn't get approved. So for many years now, I've made sure I have it split. So your data governance policy is the what we want people to do at very high level. And then I split the actual how we're going to do that. So the details, so perhaps details of processes, the detailed role descriptions, into another document that I often call a data governance operating model. Now, many organizations have this concept of an operating model, and you will have it for all sorts of approaches in your organization. And if you do, it will be very easy and make sense to everybody if you have a data governance operating model. However, I've also worked with many organizations who don't like that concept, and to suddenly have a data governance operating model will cause confusion or perhaps make it even harder for people to accept this. So in those instances, I put all the things that I would have put in an operating model, the things that I was talking about, detailed processes and perhaps detailed role descriptions. Instead of putting it in one big document and calling it an operating model, sometimes I put it in one document and call it a framework. And sometimes I just have it as a collection of documents that explain how we do data governance. So I think of it in terms of an operating model, but if calling it an operating model is going to make that organization resistant to accepting it, then don't do it. We've got to make this as easy as possible for people to accept. So I've already shared with you some of the reasons why I split it, but the other big one is that every organization that I have ever worked in, it's not easy to get a policy initially signed off and approved, but then to make changes to it. And if you're doing data governance iteratively, as I always recommend you do, then your data governance framework is going to evolve and change over time. Now, every time you add a change to it, you don't want to have to go through all these hoops and over all these hurdles to get your policy changed. Now, most organizations have an annual, if not a biannual review of existing policies. So it's better to not have to go through that outside of that timescale. So if we keep the policy as high level as possible, the what, we can do the detail elsewhere, which doesn't need such strenuous oversight and approval. And that will make it easier for us to evolve and iterate our data governance framework as we go. So I hope that's helped you understand why you really should split it and have a data governance policy and an operating model. I hope you have found that useful. If you have, please help me on my mission to help as many people as possible by liking and commenting this or sharing it on your choice of social media. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible be successful with data governance, and I'd love your help with that. Thank you.